What is up, you guys? Welcome to Fitness Friday. We are excited today to talk about something that's very important. If you've ever walked into maybe a GNC, maybe any supplement store out there and you've seen a bunch of proteins, it is not the same thing. You are looking at a lot of different proteins, and today we're going to talk about what protein is, what it does, and how it can help you out and which one you should be taking on your daily routine. Let's get this started, you guys. All right, so protein, why is it so important? Why do you see it all over the place? And why is it so essential for everyone who's trying to build a great physique? It is because protein, and its one most simplest form to put it out there, is that it repairs muscle, okay? Every time you go to the gym and you lift those weights, what you're doing is you're breaking your muscles, and as soon as you're done, the first thing you wanna do is repair. That is, in its basic form, what protein is. So there's a ton of different proteins out there. There's egg, there's pea, there's soy. But today we're gonna talk about two very effective, the most effective proteins that are there for your benefit, and that honestly, they give you the best results when trying to look for that good physique. And we're gonna talk about whey, and we're gonna talk about casein, and Tony's gonna take over that whey protein for you guys. Here we go.
So whey protein is kind of the basic. It's what every beginner uses. If you go into a GNC or into any supplement store, what you're gonna see is probably 90% whey protein. But there are different kinds of whey protein. I didn't even know this in the beginning. So I'm gonna cover 3 different kinds of whey protein so that you can kind of know the differences, the pros and the cons of each. All 3 of them have pros, all 3 of them have cons. So the first one is whey concentrate. Whey concentrate is the most basic form of whey. If you kind of look at whey concentrate on a spectrum, you have concentrate on one side and hydrolysate on the other side. The difference is how processed they are. So if we start with just whey concentrate, it's gonna be the cheapest kind. So the pros are, it's cheap, and it's also really good for your immunity. So whey protein in general is a great immunity booster. So a whey concentrate is gonna have great immunity benefits. The con is going to be, because it's not very processed, you're gonna have a lot of fat, you're gonna have some carbs, some sugar, other stuff aside from protein, but it's still a great choice if you're just a beginner. Whey concentrate. Number 2 is Whey Isolate. Whey Isolate is my personal favorite. It is a little bit more processed than the whey concentrate, but because it's more processed, you're gonna avoid some of the fluff. You're gonna avoid, some of the fats, you're gonna avoid some of the carbs and the sugars. So it's kind of a pure form of protein, if you will. And this one actually is my favorite protein of all time. I think it's the best one out there. So the isolate, because it's more processed, it's not gonna have as much lactose. So if you're someone that struggles with lactose or is lactose intolerant, you're gonna wanna go for an isolate instead of a concentrate. This one's gonna have a lot more lactose in it. This one, not so much. But the con is it's way more expensive, usually about double the price for this guy than for this guy. So you do get more protein for the weight. It's kind of more bang for your buck, but you're gonna have to deal out more of your bucks in order to get it. But in my opinion, it's definitely worth it. A whey isolate is the way to go because of all those benefits. It's higher processed, not so much lactose. So for me in particular, it digests much more smoothly than this guy over here because I'm a little bit lactose intolerant. So whey isolate, number 1 favorite in my opinion. And number 3 is Whey Hydrolysate. Now, Whey Hydrolysate is kind of a newer one, and a lot of people think it's kind of the end-all be-all of protein. They think it's like the holy grail. I disagree because it's the most processed out of all 3, but because it's so processed, you're gonna lose the immunity benefits from the whey concentrate. So if you see it on a spectrum, the more processed it is, the more stuff they take out. Now, when we talk about protein, in most cases, that's a good thing because like an isolate, you take out the carbs and the fats and the sugars, you're left with just protein. But when you get to this point, you're taking out a lot of other compounds that help with the immunity. So one of the cons is you're not gonna get the immunity boosting factors that you will on this side of the spectrum with the whey hydrolysate. It is also very expensive and it's so processed that it's kind of pre-digested, if you will. There are certain peptides and things within this that will help with your digestion. So if you're even crazy lactose intolerant and your body's super sensitive, you may want to go this route, but the majority of people can do just fine with a Whey Isolate. You don't have to go all the way over here, and you can still get some of those immunity benefits and other things. So you have Whey Concentrate, Whey Isolate, and Whey Hydrolysate. I didn't even know that these existed. I thought all whey was the same, so hope that helps. Before I go, guys, and send it over to Eric, who is gonna break down casein protein for you guys, I wanna give you guys a little bit of word of warning, specifically with proteins like this one. Now, I'm not a hater of FNX, I think they're fine, but this one, if you can read it, it says collagen protein. So there are a lot of products out there that are like fat burning protein or toning protein, collagen protein, and they're complete BS, guys. They're very, very expensive, and in the majority of cases, they have this very same amino acids that you're gonna have in just a normal protein, or they'll add just a little bit of what's on the label. For example, a little bit of collagen, a little bit of carnitine, a little bit of creatine, not in amounts that will really give you a substantial benefit, but they throw it in there and then they call it like a super protein, and they'll charge you like 4 times more than what it's supposed to be. So in a case like this thing is $70. And I can tell you that you can get a better protein at Walmart for $17, $15, $20, and it doesn't have the collagen. So watch out for those. Watch out for super proteins like, again, creatine protein, fat burning protein, collagen protein. They're total BS.
So the next most effective protein is casein protein. And the difference between whey protein and casein protein is the time it takes to digest. Now, casein protein, a lot of people don't even know that this exists, but it's a very beneficial protein that you can take overnight. The reason why is because casein takes a lot longer to digest. So if you take protein, whey protein at night, it'll be digested in an hour or 2. If you take casein protein, it takes a lot longer, per se 4 to 6 hours. Okay, so you recover while you're sleeping, right? And the thing that you want the most is for your muscles to be repairing as quickly, as best as possible. And that's what protein does. So if you're taking casein at night and it's working over 4 to 6 hours and you're sleeping over an 8-hour period, then it's gonna be a lot more beneficial than a whey protein that would only benefit you for about an hour of sleep. And then for the rest of the night, you don't get very much out of it, right? So that is casein protein. The main difference is the speed of digestion, okay? So if you're trying to look for a good nighttime protein, don't choose whey, choose casein.
So that is kind of protein 101 in a nutshell, in a snapshot. Hopefully you learned a little bit about whey, the different kinds, casein. I didn't know any of this when I first started out, so hopefully when you go to the store to try to buy your protein, you can kind of see the differences. It's really cool when now you read a label and you're like, I know what that is, and then you read another, like, I know what that is, and you know the differences. So this is all about becoming a more educated fitness person, if you will, to make the best choices, get the most bang for your buck, don't throw money away. So hope it helps, guys.